Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of the All Mercy Psychiatry and Integrative Care podcast, where we unlock healing through honest conversations. I'm your host, Mercy Ngesain, and today's episode is all about stepping into your power. I have a powerhouse today who is going to help all of us step into that power. We are talking about self worth, something that we can all align ourselves with, self compassion, and the courage to become your own champion, especially when the world feels heavy and our inner critic gets so loud sometimes. Is it easy to stay being ourselves? So, whether you are a high achiever battling imposter syndrome, whether you're a caregiver running on empty, or whether you're someone just trying to rise after a fall, or if you don't think you have fallen, you may fall. This conversation is for you. Let's dive into what it truly means to rewrite your narrative and believe that you are enough. I have no other than Mr. Gustav Au here to help me with that. So you are highly welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, Mercy. The great honor and pleasure is mine just being on your platform. From the time you reached out to me, inviting me to come onto your platform, I took some time to just get to familiarize myself again with the work you do. And I
Oh,
just want to dove my heart to you and the entire team. You
yes.
guys do very important work.
Thank
You do very critical work, especially in this time and age when life is becoming more complex,
you. Yeah.
it is becoming faster. Technology is starting to take over human interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And the studies are telling us that a lot of people are looking head on to bigger pandemics worse than COVID-19, which is
Absolutely.
loneliness, which is mental health challenges, which is emotional depletion, and which a lot of times surrounds itself around the fact that people feel empty and they feel like their life doesn't have a meaning. So
Yeah.
when I see platforms like you and the kind of work you do, especially in things like this, it is very impressive because what the world needs today is a lot more positive voices. What the world needs today is people who can remind you that you can rise again, that you are capable, and that yes, you are enough. So
Mhm.
the honor and joy is mine to be on your platform today.
Thank you. When I posted this out, so many people were like, oh, wow, it would be nice to hear about this from self critic to self champion. Is that
Correct.
attainable? I want you to start by introducing yourself and let us hear a little bit about your journey. And thank you for all you've said about what we are doing. It is critical.
Absolutely.
It is critical, like you said. Mental health is not being made aware enough. We still have
Correct.
a lot of stigma around it, and people forget to know that mental health is your whole being.
It is.
If your
It is.
perception is not right, it will not be right in everything that you're doing. So thank you for putting that out there. Let's hear a little bit about you and your journey.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just a young man out of Cameroon in the center of Africa, of course, came to America over 20 years ago. I went to secondary, high school, and university in Cameroon, a bachelor's degree in law, and then I have graduate in business and marketing certificates from the University of California in Berkeley. And one of the interesting things is that I'm an investor. I'm an author. I just published my first book a few months ago, and fingers crossed, that's going to be the first of 25 I plan to do in the course of my life. And oh, you got your copy. Oh, that's
I
great.
did. I
And
did.
congratulations. I'm glad you did.
I
And I
did.
pray you find value in it and you enjoy reading it, right?
Yes.
And then in addition to that, I'm also a speaker, but most importantly, I'm a legacy architect. I help to teach people, number one, how to uncover their purpose, how to unleash that purpose, how to learn how to invest in assets for profits, and how to put those two together to architect a legacy that leaves them feeling content and completely proud of their lives and making sure that their last name is never forgotten when they are no longer on the side. So when you talk about feeling empty. You talk about trying to rebuild. I totally understand that because where I am today, I was never always like that. It has been a journey of conscious, determined effort to get myself to where I am right now. As you might know, you can tell just by looking at me,
Conscious,
right?
determined effort.
Absolutely.
So it
Conscious
was not just
determined
Oaza.
effort. No, it wasn't by accident. It's a
Yes,
conscious, determined effort. I'm 48 years old now, and generally, if you're 48 years old, you most likely have tried quite a few things in life if you're
yes,
ambitious and you want to achieve something with your life. And most likely, too, you faced a lot of failures, you faced a lot of beatdowns, and you faced circumstances that try to rewire your mind, that try to inform your spirit, that try to reconstruct your entire being and believe in yourself, to start asking questions that forces you to start looking at yourself from the perspective of lack instead of abundance, from the perspective of gainfully
I'm
capable
going to have
instead of
fun.
incapacity, right? So, my journey today, which I'm going to be sharing with everybody on the line, it's a journey of intrigue, it's a journey of ups, it's a journey of down, and it's not too different from your journey. The only difference that might appear in it, and why you most likely are listening to me, is because I told myself, Gustav, whatever challenges that you have to deal with in your life, it's not a verdict on your destiny.
Ooh,
It is simply a reframing of what is capable and what is possible for you. So I always tell myself, instead of reading the word I am, POSSIBLE, as
impossible.
impossible, I always read
Impossible.
it like I am possible.
Yes, I love that. Don't give up until you get to the destination.
Absolutely.
Your journey or your challenges are not your identity.
Absolutely. So
Oh my
that's
goodness.
that's my story. That's a little bit of who I am. Right, I live in Austin, Texas, married, father of three beautiful girls, and a perpetual optimist. A perpetual optimist, someone who believes in possibility, someone who believes that each and every one of us are born and are brought to this world with something special, something unique, something that we can deliver on with a level of excellence that nobody else can. That is why everything I come against with so much passion, despite any other results that might come out of it. I hope today, during our conversation, we'll be able to clarify, we'll be able to help somebody find it in them to rise again, look up to the sky, and say, you know what? I am enough, and I'll get going.
And I hope somebody go back after watching this and look for that thing that Mr. Gustav is talking about. What is
Yes,
that unique thing that only you can do? That if you do not do it, it will not be done. Let us
absolutely.
find those things that we are passionate about. That those things that chases us when it is
Yes.
not done. I don't know if you're talking just to me, but guys, if you stay tuned, you will transform your life for free. What this man is saying here, you will transform your life for free. Stay tuned with us and see what you can gain from here. Can you walk us through a moment? You said at 48 years old,
Yes,
it means that we have tried so many things.
absolutely.
Found that one. Can you walk us through a moment when your life you had those inner critics?
You want me to walk you
Don't
through
do
a
it.
moment or moments? Because the problem I have, the, the problem, the problem I really have now is deciding which one moment to share with you, right? Because
Yes.
here is the deal: people need to understand that the way the human mind is created, our human mind attaches itself with a lot more passion towards pain than pleasure. That is why
Oh
we
no,
tend to
why?
That's why we tend to amplify our challenges without
Mm-hmm.
amplifying our successes, right? I will talk about myself and certain circumstances I've been to. I can just think about an example. I came to America in 2000, in the year 2000. Vibrant, you know, certainly 30, 40, 40 pounds less than this, with a lot of hair on my head. right? But here's the deal though, 23 years old, bouncy, ambitious, out of the university in Cameroon, and I got into America. A company that was actually that recruited us and brought us. It was a company designed to help older adults in nursing home settings and all of that. So I started working, and 3 years later, I became a licensed practical nurse. But of course, I kept looking because that's not the end of my journey. I knew there was something in America for me. I knew
I
that
was a
there was a
licensed
place.
practical nurse too,
Oh,
Gustav.
you were?
I
Oh,
was. I
wonderful. That's the
started
journey,
there.
right?
It's been
That's
a
the journey.
journey.
So I started from there and I kept going. And then in 2008, I went to the University of California in Berkeley, where I completed a graduate program in business and in marketing and international business. I finished from there. I went straight back to Africa to do business with my uncle. And we set up a company. I joined him in a company that he had set up to work
Hmm.
with him to distribute natural health products to cover Nigeria, Congo, Gabon, the Central Africa, and parts of West Africa. Long and short of the story, it didn't pan out the way I had wished. I spent 3 years, business didn't work out the way I wished. So I came back to America, broken, frustrated, angry. Worst of all, in those 3 years, I lost my primary home to foreclosure. I lost a
Oh,
rental property to foreclosure. I paid over $100,000 to the bankruptcy court. My family was forced to shop again in Goodwill, which is a thrift store. We had to live on some basic necessities for many years while trying to build our lives. But here is the important part, Mercy. And I want everybody to really pay attention to this. Here is the most important thing in that process. Because in my naivety at the beginning of those challenges for me, I was interpreting the fact that the project didn't work out as if I was a failure. There is a
I think
difference.
we've all been there. I really
Yes,
think we've all been there.
correct. There is a difference. It is important to really segregate those two things until I started understanding that that project didn't work. It didn't mean Gustav doesn't work. That gave me the courage to start back to rebuild my life. I cleaned my license, I dusted my LVN license, did some CUs, got back into the job, and from there I got into IT and rebuilt my life to where I am back now as an entrepreneur running multiple businesses successfully. But most importantly, helping to reframe people's minds and spirit. So talk about that quiet voice that tells you to doubt yourself. When
Right.
you go through difficulties in life, you will face those voices. But here is what you need to here is what you need to remember. It's not the name you are called, but the name you answer to. The voices will tell you that you are not capable.
Can we
It
talk
is
from now till tomorrow, Mr. Gustav? It is not what you're called, but what you're answering.
that is very important. And when you start training your mind to understand that it is not the circumstances that have happened, but it is certainly how you chose to accept them. Listen to me and listen to me carefully here. Mercy Psychiatry is certainly a platform that deals with emotional, psychological, and all those kind of
A
challenges.
lot.
And by any
Mhm.
means, if you have some of those deep traumas and challenges, you need to seek additional help. But I'm here to tell you that the way the human mind, the human spirit is wired, you can start the healing from inside by your own self. Number one, by listening to messages that upbeat your spirit. If
Yes.
you are on the line today, this is already a great step. It doesn't matter what challenges you might be facing. You might just be somebody who even wants to elevate themselves. You are doing the right thing because the human mind has been trained in such a way that when I tell you you cannot do it, I need to tell you 16 times that you can do it to erase the
To
one time
erase the
I
one
told you
time
that
that,
you cannot do it. I
yes.
didn't say that. That is a study from MIT. So what that really means is that any time in life we have a failure, we have a circumstance that didn't work out. The message that is subconsciously coming to our mind is that we are not capable. So what it means is that you must tell your mind 16 times over that you are capable in order for you to be able to overcome that simple wiring of your mind. A lot of people ask me, Mercy, Gustav, how did you come up with the catchphrase "you are enough"? That's exactly how I came up with that phrase. When I came back from Africa with my failed projects, I'm sitting in my house. I had a surgery on my knee, and during those times, for the first time, I had a chance to really reflect. And as I was reflecting, I saw the big challenges that were ahead of me. My simple action had taken my family financially behind another 10 years. So
Absolutely.
everything I had done till that point in my life in America, which was about 8 years, had been completely annihilated, cancelled, gotten up in flames, and I was deeper in the hole. So I told
And you were
myself,
not scared to start all over.
and I was going to start all over. But I told myself, I said, Gustav, this is what's going to happen to you, boy. Number one, you have a choice. You can submit and fold, or you can elevate your spirit. And what I mean by that is simple. The most important thing at that time to me wasn't just going back to work, but was going back to work, number one, with a spirit that is has been retold to believe again in the possibility of me rising. Number one. Number two, going back to work with a strategy, knowing that even though I failed at those projects, but my dream, my ambition, my desire in life was legitimate, was valid, and I deserved it. I want somebody to
You're,
understand me here.
you're making me thinking now, Gustav. You're making me think. Of course, I have also failed in so many things, several times, different
You
things.
can't build something like this without failure.
Oh no.
I know that.
And I tell people failure is an ingredient to success. Because when you
Absolutely.
do it again, you do it better. You don't do the same mistake.
Absolutely.
So there was a point because asking you about that inner critic is making me think about my own inner critic. The inner
Correct.
critic was so loud that I feel like there was a point where I just have to tell myself, like you said, from inside,
Yes.
like, Mercy, please do not abandon yourself.
Yes.
Mercy, please do not abandon your dreams. Please cheer yourself up. Do not
Yes.
wait for XYZ to validate you before you move forward. Mercy, please, please, that thing that you want to do, try and do it. So sometimes we think that we are in the dark, but we are our own source of belief.
Yes.
Even when the results are not visible yet,
Yes.
that passion and that faith is there, that conviction is there.
Correct. Very
So
true.
let us not give up thinking that we cannot do it. I failed, I failed, I failed, I cannot do it. And I want to ask you this because when I search about you, I'm like, why am I just finding this person now? Where has this power has been all through? So I am like, you're talking a lot about being enough, being enough. It led me to bring this title, you're your own self champion. What does being a self champion mean to you, Mr. Gustav?
Being a self champion to me is very simple. Being your own advocate, being the person who believes in you the most, being the person who will force you to do the things that it takes to get the things that you desire in your life, being the person who will be the last person to give up on you. And the reason is simple. The reason to me why it is so critical for everyone to first of all be their own self champion is because people tap into your belief in yourself.
Yes.
As you
Yes.
might know, Mercy, for anybody who have started a business, the people who believe, the people who will be the last to believe in their ideas are the people who are closest to you.
How did
It's
how
normal.
did you know
Listen,
that?
the reason is because when you are still young and naive and you are new in business, you don't understand these things until you start it, right?
Oh
Because
God.
it frustrates you first for a period of time, right? Because your desire, like every human being, that soft part, you want your family to believe in you, you want them, the people closest to you, to be the ones telling you, you know what, you are the greatest, you can do everything
I
you can.
almost give up. Even in building this, Gustav, almost 4 years ago, I almost gave up. Like
Yes.
3, 4, 6 months into it, I almost gave up. And my husband said, you want to go work for someone else? I'm like, don't put it like that. He said, you are the one telling people or teaching people or advocating for self. He said, you are
Yeah.
just starting.
Yeah.
Keep going. And I don't know where he read this from. He said, those who do not take the risks will
Yes.
always work for those who took the risks.
It's simple.
It touched me in my core. I'm
Yes.
like, you don't have to say it like that. He said, but that is the truth. You
Yes.
have the power, you have the knowledge, you have the ability to birth this thing that you're trying to birth.
Correct.
Let
Correct.
this stone not be the breaking wall. Let it be something that you can step over. Find out how you can go further than this.
And he was so right. I'm glad he was divinely touched to tell you that. Because Mercy, listen here. The challenge is a lot of times most people are not even willing to participate in their own rescue. Because in life, what
No,
you focus on the most become the strongest.
I say what you focus on, that's what you see. What
Absolutely.
you focus on, there are two people who are hungry. There's free food here. One said, let's go get that free food. It is free. Another one said, there's the line is too long. What you focus on, you is what you see. The person who is
It's
only seeing the line that is too long, that's all they saw. The person
that's
who
right.
saw the free food went and got the free food.
It's as simple as that because when you become your own self champion, you
I
become
like
your own self advocate. You start realizing and you start practicing number one, talking to yourself. Every time in my life I've been in the most difficult situations, every time I've been down and out, when things don't look up, when it's looking bad, the first thing I start doing before thinking about any strategies or any possibilities, I start reminding myself who I am. I start saying, Gustav, you're enough. Gustav, you are a champion. Gustav, you deserve a right to be ambitious and you deserve a right to achieve those things. You know why? Because just like the great Les Brown said, when the why is strong enough, the how doesn't matter. Mercy. Everything in this life we enjoy today and we are going to enjoy every time was built
say that
twice.
again. Let's say it in Les Brown's voice.
The great Les Brown, yeah. He said, when the why is strong enough, the how does not matter.
Yeah,
When
like
the
we
when
normally
the
say.
desire for it is strong enough, you will figure out a way, just like you figured out a way to create your business and get it running, despite the subconscious conversations you're having on the inside.
Mm.
Sometimes you have to stand up in yourself and tell that quiet voice, shut up and sit down. I am the boss. You are not the boss. Listen, guys, this stuff is no movie. I'm not here acting a movie.
Mm-mm.
I'm not here trying to impress nobody. I am telling you how these things work, how it has worked for me, how it has worked for many clients I have
How
coached,
it has
and I
worked for
believe
me.
it's going to work for Mercy. It has worked for Mercy, and I believe it's going to work for you if you're looking for something
Absolutely.
like that.
Because what you're saying is simply that sometimes we don't have the ability to self motivate. We
Yes,
have those negative automatic thoughts that just come. We don't invite them, they just come. Even though we
correct.
don't invite them, are we entertaining them though? We can say,
That's
shut up, like you say, leave my
Mhm.
house, leave my brain, go away. And those negative automatic thoughts will just come. I wish we can intentionally, like you're doing, intentionally
Mhm.
and consciously, very quickly replace them with positive ones. If not,
Absolutely.
they will dwell in our spaces, they will dwell in our homes, and they will fill our brains. And that is what we will be looking, because we often think that loving ourselves or cherishing ourselves or advocating for ourselves is selfish. It is not. We are just owning our own story.
Absolutely.
We're just owning our
Absolutely.
own story. Encouraging others doesn't expose our vulnerabilities either. But turning that kind of kindness during ourselves is needed too. It takes courage, it takes confrontation of our own pain. And
Correct.
sometimes we are not dwelling in our feelings to do it, we are
Correct.
dwelling in our logic,
Correct.
in
Very true.
our why. Why do I need to do it? You don't want to get up early in the morning to go do some exercise before, and you know you have to.
Correct.
You cannot pay anybody to do your push-ups for you. I hope we all know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But here's the deal, Mercy. In all of that, too, right? In all of that, I am human enough to understand that there is that element where you have to also advocate for yourself. You have to be a self champion.
Mhm.
You have to talk to yourself. There is that part. But in that too, our humanity, a lot of times comes from the position of frailness to strength, comes from the position of negativity to positivity. So, in addition to that, you also need to find different ways by which you could keep yourself consistent and bolstered. And
Yeah.
that is why it is important, number one, to also expose your mind to positive messages, if not only from you, but from outside.
Yeah.
Listening to tapes, listening to videos, listening to podcasts like this one that is speaking life into you. Because everybody in this life, there is a time in your life when somebody else will need to speak life into you.
Oh,
The way
yes.
your husband spoke life to you, and maybe I have also had my wife speak life into me. I've had other
Yes.
people who are close to me speak life into me. I have a friend of mine, my best friend, he lives out of Houston, Texas, Kingsley. And that guy, there are times when I feel like his belief in me is more than my belief in myself. You
We need
know
people
what I
like
mean?
that. We
But
need people
everybody
like
needs
that.
advocates like that to help
Hmm.
them with their own self-advocacy. Because like
And
human
that
beings,
leads
there
me
are
to
times
this.
when our spirit is broken. There are times when the load is heavy. Like with everything, even when you are carrying a bag. Like most of us who grew up in Africa, you go to the farm and you put a bag on your head and you are going home. There are times when you get halfway of a distance you've covered before you get halfway, you have to take a rest. So you put the bag down, you sit down for a little bit, you take a break, you find some mango. Maybe during that time, your sister or your brother or your friend has some sugarcane. They give you to re-energize you. It's the same thing in our struggles in life. When those tough times come, when you know what, you cannot beat it alone by your own self-proclamation and your own self-championship, that is when
Yeah,
these other things come into play for you. That
that
is when
is.
your friends, the close people, reading positive books, reading, going out to seminars that help you, paying coaches to talk to you. All these things are important because the human brain is like our bodies. Mercy.
As important as it is, I don't think we invest in that enough. And I want to ask you this. Sometimes the way we, and I have been guilty of it, why do
Yes.
you think we are often quicker to cheer others than ourselves?
Oh wow. That's a very good question. Very good question. And some of the reasons are very simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the reasons are very simple. And I'm going to go straight up front in your face with this one. Number one, most human beings, by the time to get to an age of adulthood, have received too many messages of their incapacity to do things. So, what that does is that it starts rewiring their brain to believe more in lack than abundance, to
Yeah,
believe more in their incapacity than
yeah,
what is possible. You see, there is something that is important, Mercy, and people need to understand this. A lot of times people spend so much time trying to improve on their weaknesses to become average instead of spending that same amount of time improving on what they are good at to become great.
yes. Mm-hmm.
That is really how it is.
Yes.
A lot of people always are quick to cheer others because deep in their hearts they feel an incapacity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two, sometimes it can come from actual failures in life. When you've tried things and it didn't work, and you become ashamed now to put yourself out there to try it again because it reminds you of a previous shameful event. That is a possibility, right?
Yeah,
Another very important one that sometimes a lot of people don't really pay attention to. And I like this one because, especially from the culture we come from,
yeah.
self praise, self advocacy, a lot of times is looked upon as arrogance.
Arrogance. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are
Like
trained.
you're too proud.
Exactly. We have
Mm-hmm.
been trained, we have been conditioned to be humble. Don't try to do the extraordinary. Don't try to step up. And then we come now into countries where we realize that the way you get ahead is to advocate for yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
remember the first time I got the first IT job I got. This is about 13 years ago. And I'm sitting in that corporate meeting and they're asking people who can do things. And this young man just puts up his hand. Yeah, I'll go do it. I'll do it. And then after the meeting, he comes to me and books some time for us to meet. And he told me, Gustav, this is something you have talked about, and I know you can do it. Can you just tell me how to do it? You know what that means? I know how to do it, but I didn't feel confident enough to put up my hand.
Right.
He doesn't know how to do it, but he feels confident enough that he will figure it out and deliver it.
And deliver it.
Right
Absolutely.
now,
Absolutely.
in the culture we come from, you have to wait to be called. In the lifetimes and culture we live in, you have to step up. In the culture we come from, you have to seek permission. In the time and age we live in, it's better to apologize than to seek permission after you've done
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
So those are some of the
I'm glad
reasons
you touched
why.
our culture, because you have to be humbled. It doesn't mean you have to hold yourself back. It doesn't
Correct.
mean you diminish your capabilities by being humble and
Absolutely.
respectful. But most of us
Absolutely.
grew up in that way, like, I don't have to say I know this.
Facts.
You wait for
Facts.
others to
Yes.
validate you. And again, we hear so many negative things
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just a few positive one, and we dwell in those negativity that it starts negating what we are capable of. And if we're
Correct.
not strong,
Correct.
like we have Leonard here says, you have to believe in yourself. If we are not
Mm-hmm.
strong enough to know that we matter, to know that
Correct.
we can still have our vulnerabilities and grow through the death. Look at manure, look at the beautiful things that manure
Correct.
can grow.
Yeah.
Please, if you get one thing from here, it means do not abandon yourselves. Sometimes you have to cheer yourself up before any other person cheer you up.
Very
Like
true.
I
And
said
listen,
earlier, those negative beliefs, they just come automatically. Yes, Gustav.
and when I'm thinking, because this is a very important piece, right? This is a very important piece. And it is important that everybody understands that they have something special. They
Yeah,
have something unique. They have something that they can deliver on like nobody else, right?
yeah,
And a lot of times, one of the reasons why it's easier to see others win, to cheer others on, is simple. Because you are too intimate to your story, you tend to undermine your story. You tend to believe that your story has no value,
yeah.
that it's not as important as the other person's story. That
Mm-hmm.
is one. Number two, as human beings, we tend to focus on what is missing instead of what is growing.
Yeah,
I want that to sink in. We
yeah.
focus on what
And
is missing
what you
instead of
focus
what is
on will
growing.
grow.
That's right.
What you focus on, you will grow. So if you keep focusing on lack, you will
That's
keep
what you say.
being in lack
Yes,
than in abundance.
correct.
And
And in this time and age, the third very important thing with the advent of social media and all
yeah,
this stuff, a lot of people compare their behind the scenes reality to people's social media highlight reels. I don't know if I make sense.
you make
I
a lot
was
of sense.
listen, Mercy. I was
You
watching a
make a lot
video
of
the other day,
sense. Then they go
right?
depressed and anxious and put themselves down and feel like, oh, I am not up to this. I am not up to this. Those people, maybe you're even more than them, but they are highlighting one positive part that they have. Then you compare your 10 positive things to their one and you feel down.
And that's the highlight reel, right? I was watching a random video on Instagram a few weeks ago, and this one really blew me because, boy, it's sad. It's a tough one. But this gentleman and his wife, they were on a date somewhere in a restaurant, and the lady had put up this, 1 minute, 30 seconds highlight reel. They brought some nice dessert. The man is feeding her, bought a champagne that night. Oh, and then she's like, "Oh, this is the kind of man my love for life." And then there were all these comments underneath, thousands of them. "Oh God, give me a man like that. Oh boy, oh thank God. Oh man, what a lovely couple. This is an exemplary this and that and this, right?" But then
Highlights.
and then about a month later, there was another video showcasing that lady in the emergency room having been battered and beaten up.
Right.
Okay. And the person who put these two videos was showing, just highlighting the example I'm giving here about don't take your behind the scenes and compare it with people's highlight reels. A 1 minute, 30 seconds video gave thousands of people the opportunity to declare something the greatest that has ever existed
Hmm.
without understanding exactly that what you are in is better. You are having your struggles, but you are finding ways to build it and keep it going. It is
Yeah.
important to understand this because as a mental health professional that you are, you even know these numbers more than I do. They
Hmm.
are projecting that in the next 2 decades,
Yeah.
a big part of most of the mental health challenges will be coming from the perceptions that people get from social media about why their life is lacking something.
Absolutely. And
Not
especially,
about reality,
oh,
about
it
the
is.
perception
And you'll
that
be
people
surprised
get.
that it is not just the young adults or children who are thinking that
Oh,
way.
of
You'll
course.
be surprised that adults, professionals are also believing in that, are also judging themselves by some other small perceptions that they are seeing. And again, we are talking about you being enough, you validating yourself. You are enough. Do not abandon yourself. But each time you think about that, there's this little inner critic that comes. There's this little voice that come and be like, "Oh no, you're not." Gustav, how do you personally recognize when those negative self-talk starts creeping in?
Oh, for
I
me,
can
it's very.
recognize them because I have experienced them and I teach people how to recognize. It is my profession. How
Mhm.
do you personally recognize them and how can you encourage others to do so?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It is. It is. The first thing is the first way I learned how to recognize them was starting to spend a little bit more time with myself. By the
Yeah.
very nature of the way I was born, by the very nature of my wiring, I'm a very outgoing person. I'm what they call a social butterfly. I love people. That's what gives me energy. I genuinely love human beings. When
Mm-hmm.
I'm around people, when I create impact to people, when I feel like I've helped somebody become something better, that gives me a lot of spiritual and emotional reward, right? And so as I started growing older, especially in the career, because I started off as a professional MC 22 years ago. So I've been
Oh,
in front of people for years.
for
I've been a
years.
speaker now,
Mm-hmm.
a paid speaker for 10 years. So I've been in front of people. And I started noticing that somewhere about my mid 30s, getting to my late 30s, I started noticing that, Gustav, hey, you also have to be able now to start figuring out when some of those messages start coming into your brain because you are not immune to it. No human being is immune to it. The
No
only thing
one.
is how you prepare to attack it. So
No
the
one.
way I recognize it is number one, when it starts coming to my mind, what I do first is I play some kind of YouTube video of positive messages. That's
Okay.
my own way of doing it. I don't have cable at home for the last 10 years. I disconnected cable.
Distraction.
Distraction, too much negativity, news, and all that stuff. It just drives me crazy. I remember
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19, my kids almost got depressed at home because the TV stations were showing the countdown to how many people have died.
Yeah.
Nobody had a countdown to how many people have recovered,
No. Mm-mm.
right? So I told myself, listen, and before then, I'd already even disconnected my cable because I just want to stay around things that help build my mind and my
Right.
spirit. And so when I start getting those a sentiment of those thoughts, I start that. There
Mm-hmm.
are times even when you've lived long enough with yourself, you understand yourself, you can even see things in the environment and you know where it's leading to. They say
Yeah.
if it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it's most likely a duck,
It's most
right?
likely a
It's
dirt.
just like if you are in a long-term relationship, if you're married, like the people who are married here, you know, when your partner does one, two, three, you know where it's leading.
You know
So
where
you
it's
have a
leading.
choice. You can react the way you always react, and it will end where you know it's going to end, or you can cut it off real quick by taking a different action.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in my situation, maybe I just walk out and give her some space. Maybe I go play football, or I just go outside for a walk and I'm listening to positive messages to also rewire my mind, right? So when you've lived with yourself, when you've spent some time with yourself, you start understanding those patterns because nothing happens in a vacuum in your body and in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Things
Yeah.
will be repetitive in your mind. That's why they've built a solid conviction. It doesn't convince you by one time. It
No.
convinces you because it's come over and over and over and over and over. So
Mhm.
once you understand that pattern, you already know there are even smells that you know once you smell it, it makes you feel angry. I have
Absolutely.
smells. I have smells that
Absolutely.
piss me off.
Absolutely.
So avoid it.
I think what you're saying, what I'm getting, or what I get from everything that you say, live with yourself sometimes.
Spend
I
time with yourself. Yes.
what is the internal script that you're writing inside? Do
Yes.
you know who you are? Do you know your triggers? Do you know what is getting you upset?
Yes.
That way you can easily tell when those negative thoughts are coming,
Correct.
saying that you're not enough. You want to try something, immediately a thought come and tell you that this will never work. And you don't have any proof to
Yeah.
agree that this will never work. So I know it is not the truth. This is fear in disguise. So please try and recognize those moments where the negative thoughts creep in for nothing. Is it fear? Is it doubt? And I'm going to ask Gustav, what is the connection now between self criticism and fear? Sometimes we are so scared. I'm not gonna make it. What if I lost this? What is are you criticizing yourself or are you just being afraid? And is there any reason why you should be?
Ab-
Being you, and I have seen your platform, I've seen where you are and who you are. I know you must have faced some self criticism and fear. How do
abs-
you connect those?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even before I get into that, I just want to share one thing with everybody. You see, a lot of people spend time worrying about the thief in the marketplace, the pickpocket that is going to steal from your purse, that is going to steal from your car, that is going to send their hand in your pocket to steal your money.
I like
But
this.
people don't worry about the thief in your mind, that thief that is trying to steal your destiny, that is trying to distract you from your purpose and your
Yep.
legacy. That is what we're talking about today, right?
Yeah.
That is the
Who was
thief
this
you have
person?
to
I
pay
think you
attention
know.
to.
Who is this person who said if there's no enemy within, the enemy
That's an old
outside?
African proverb. If there is no enemy within, the enemy without can do no harm. Les Brown highlights that
Exactly.
a lot, right? Because
Exactly.
this thief in your mind tells you you are too old, you are weak, you are not capable, you are too broke, you are not intelligent enough, you are not smart enough, you can't do anything good, your life is useless, you are a bad father, you are a bad mother, you cannot amount to anything. Pay attention to those thieves. Don't worry about the money in your pocket. You can make that overnight. But
Hmm.
here is the deal about what you talk about fear, Mercy. Any human being who, from time to time, depending on what they're trying to do, doesn't feel fear, there is something wrong. Fear is a human emotion,
Yeah.
and it's even further learned and solidified as we get older.
Uh-huh.
When we are younger and children, for example, when you're a baby, you have no perception of danger, so you don't
Oh
fear
no.
anything.
You take
You don't know
risks.
that
You
the
do
fire is hot
anything.
until you touch it, right? But
Right.
as you get older, because your perception of danger has been heightened, your awareness of fear becomes greater. And but as an adult, you must be able to understand that that fear doesn't mean it is not possible.
Yeah.
I'll give you a simple example, and I hope this
Yeah.
is going to crystallize it for most people. A few years ago, I watched an interview where this journalist was asking Samuel Eto'o. Eto'o was one of the best players in the history of Barcelona, of course, the number one goal scorer in from Africa in the African Nations
Mm-hmm.
Cup. This guy is an incredible footballer. Most people know him, right? And the journalist asked him, this was about his 17th year in his career. He was almost at his line, he was past his prime. He was getting
Right.
closer to retiring. And the journalist asked him that at what point in your career were you able to step on the field to start a game and you don't feel fear? He said, there was never that point in my life.
Oh,
Every time I step on the field, I feel those butterflies running in my stomach. I feel like I need to go use the bathroom first. I feel that fear. But you know the difference? The difference is that I feel the fear, but I had conditioned my mind to know that immediately I start the game,
mm-hmm.
I have power to control the outcome. So
Yes.
fear no longer has control over me.
Yes.
You only feel fear and it persists when you doubt if you have power to control the outcome.
Yes. And
Right?
if you keep focusing on that fear,
Absolutely. So
mm-hmm.
to me, the way I handle it, I feel, of course, even till now, when I'm invited to come and speak in front of 1,000 people or 500 or whatever, those first few minutes you will feel the butterfly, right? But as I am walking from backstage, as they're introducing me, I'm walking up. I start telling myself, Gustav, you are born
You're
for this
enough.
moment. Gustav, this is your time. All
You've
your
done it
life, you've been
before, you do it
preparing for
again.
this time.
Mm-hmm.
I still do that 17 years after to myself, right? So everyone must find their own thing that they use to overcome that fear. And these things should be positive things. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be negative things like drugs or things like that. No, it
Right.
should be positive things. It should be things that can help you, right? So that is how I script it in my own spirit. That's how I overcome it, because I remind myself that I'm prepared for this moment.
And
I
that is
remind
why I'm
myself,
asking you this question. How does
yes.
your work as a legacy coach intersect with your self-worth?
Oh, that's a big question. Whew.
Hmm. Yeah,
Actually, that should have
I had to go
that
to
should
your
have a podcast of
platform.
its own.
Yeah, I had to go to your platform, and I'm like, where have you been? Why did I just
Uh,
discover you in Mabel Chocolate in Talk to Me Africa? Before Talk to Me Africa,
Absolutely.
I'm like, where have you been? And I had to ask, as a legacy coach that you told us that you are,
Yes,
intersect that with your self-worth.
correct. Now, the whole concept of legacy to me is a culmination of everything you are. And your legacy, like most people mistakenly think, is not determined at the end of your life. Your legacy crystallizes at the end of your life, because
Okay.
that is the point where your legacy can be judged in total. Till
Uh-huh.
that point, your
Hmm.
legacy is what you live on a daily basis. This is my legacy talking to you on this platform.
Yes.
This is my legacy.
This is
It's
mine
living now.
too. This is
This is your
mine.
legacy, running the business you are running, doing
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing. It is talking to people now. It will talk to them in 10 years. It will talk to them in 50 years, right? So to me, the whole concept of legacy is very powerful because it helps you rewire the way we think about life. So you start from the end and start building backwards. And it helps you really focus on the things that are important. Because when you start asking legacy questions, how do I want to live? How do I want to be remembered at the point when I'm no longer physically here?
Right.
What do I want people to think about me? When you start asking those questions, you start rebuilding now from the back forward, meaning you start acting now in ways that it will crystallize at that point
At that
when you want
point.
to.
Mm-hmm.
Because the goal in life is not to live forever, but is to build things and live in a way that it lasts forever. I want somebody to understand me here. The goal of
Well,
life is not
right.
to live forever, but is to build things, build a reputation, build a business, build a community, build impact, build a purpose driven life that
Mm-hmm.
lasts forever.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the inventions we enjoy today, most of the people who invented those things are no longer
They are
alive,
no longer
but
here.
we are still living that. And
Right.
let me tell you, Mercy, why it is very important to me, the whole concept and conversation around legacy. It is even more relevant for us as immigrants, as Africans mostly, because we are at the point in our lives where if we don't think about legacy, we will never be able to sit on that table. Let me explain to you why. Legacy forces you to ask yourself things that you will do that you will not necessarily enjoy from the benefits. Because the greatest leaders in this world, the greatest societies, inventors, and destiny changers understand that they have to plant trees under whose shade they will never sit. What do I mean by that?
Yes. Yes.
What do I
Yeah.
mean by
Yeah.
that?
I'm touched by this when you describe what is your legacy, and it makes me just believe again more that this is my legacy.
Absolutely.
What I'm doing right now is my legacy, and how has that intersected with my self-worth?
Correct.
It is not just what you leave behind, it is like you said, what you're leaving right
Now,
now. And
correct.
I am doing this, bringing people through mental healing for self-recognition, self-awareness. Live your dream. What does it say about my own legacy? What is it rediscovering about my own values, about my own impacts that I am having? I wish that the legacy will continue from generation to generation. And yes, I may not be there to see the created impact, but yes, that is my legacy. Thank you. I think you just reframed that for me as well. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely, Mercy. And you talk about self-worth, right?
Hmm.
Legacy also forces you to identify the things that matter to you the most.
Yes.
And those things that matter to you the most start defining your self-worth. You know why? Because a lot of people today determine their self-worth based on what they see other people's, based on the perception that they believe is other people's self-worth. A lot of people, you ask them, why did you, for example, why did you buy certain things? It's about how it makes them feel. It's about how it makes them think of themselves. That is self-worth. But when you start asking legacy questions, those
Yeah.
legacy questions now help you to chart the map for your life. And
Hmm.
now, when you start charting the map for your life, you start realizing the things that need to be in that map, and you start putting out the things that don't need to be. That is
Hmm.
why when you see people who have identified their purpose, their goals in life, and what they want to do and how they want to be remembered, a lot of things no longer become important to them.
Absolutely.
That's the truth of the matter.
Absolutely.
When it happened to me, once I started identifying that about 10 years ago and consciously sitting down to say, Gustav, how do you want to live your life? What is your purpose? What is
Absolutely.
it that you want to deliver in this life? What is the legacy you want to leave?
Ooh.
It made it so simple for me because the things that used to be so
You're, you're,
important to me
you're
no
getting
longer
me
became important
emotional.
to me.
You're getting me
So this is
emotional.
real stuff, right?
Being in the seat
Life.
of your legacy, being in the space of your legacy, it will transform you. You just said something because it redefines what matters to you. I want to say 4 years now with all mercy, being in my legacy, it has redefined, reshifted something
Yeah.
that I can say this is my legacy, this is
Yeah.
my value, this is my
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah.
And it has not just built the confidence, but it is showing me more and more of who am I.
Yes.
And I want to ask you this. So many people, you said they look at others for what they can do. They have lost confidence in themselves. Gustav, how can what are some of the little daily habits that can help some people build their confidence, rebuild their confidence? The world is so chaotic today, it's so noisy, it's so
Mhm.
loud, not just externally, but causing a lot of internal flames
Mhm.
that is burning and reaping off what we think we are. It's robbing ourselves. Confidence is gone. How can people get that back?
Wonderful. First thing, you have to understand that a big part of confidence comes from competence.
Okay, I will write that down. I have your book
You
in
know
front
why?
of. Thank
I
you for
told myself,
signing. Thank you for hand signing my book. I
oh, you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
You're welcome. And of course, you can drop the link. Anybody who wants to order a copy can do that, and I can
Ye-
autograph them just because of your program.
Absolutely.
Right?
Please say that again. A big part of confidence comes from competence.
A big part of confidence comes from competence. And competence comes from doing it badly first, and then doing it over and over until you're doing it at great excellence. The reason why I'm confident about what I do is not because I'm talking on your platform today. It's because I've taken years to build competence. And when you build competence,
You don't have to be perfect to start.
no,
You can
but you
start
have to start to be
and
perfect.
grow as you go.
Exactly. And now, in the process of building that competence, you recognize, and very importantly, you also visualize what the end looks like, because that end is what gives you the drive to continue pushing forward to that point. When I started building a career in speaking, inspiring, motivating, and teaching people about building their legacy. In my mind, I told myself,
I think we lost you. Your volume.
okay,
Okay,
can
it's
you?
back now.
Wonderful.
Uh-huh.
I said, when I decided in earnest to start building a career in helping people uncover their purpose, invest for profit, and build a lasting legacy, I told myself, Gustav, if God blesses you and you live to the age of 80, by the time you are leaving this world, at least 1 billion people should have heard your voice and listened to
Amen.
your philosophy.
Amen.
What that meant, therefore, to me is that if that is my primary objective, that's my primary legacy, that's the primary goal in my life,
Mm-hmm.
everything, therefore, I am doing is focused around finding things that will help get me to that goal.
Mm-hmm.
And what that did, therefore, is that it made me not focus on things that are not relevant to that goal. Number one. Number two,
Right.
to get to that goal, I need to be able to exude a certain amount of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And to exude that amount of confidence, I need to know from deep within me that what I am doing and what I am saying, I am qualified to say that because I have given myself a chance to become excellent at that.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. What
Right.
I want to remind everybody listening to me is that we all are qualified at different points in our lives. You are the most qualified person to help the person you used to be. Mercy, take the Mercy 4 years ago. Afraid to open Mercy business, worried about this, worried about that. If you meet somebody at that point in their life who is most qualified to help them, isn't
Exactly.
it you?
It's me.
You've walked it.
And
You have
I
walked
have
it.
been, let me tell you, I have been mentoring even those who did it before me,
Correct.
and they are not where I am, not to take any pride in that, but yes, and it is a journey, taking small, consistent actions,
Correct.
affirming your truth. Is it your passion? And when you talk of competent, are you really competent? Are you working on yourself?
Correct.
Are you doing
Absolutely.
it where you are 4 years ago? Is that still where you are? It has
Correct.
something transformed. We are not
Mm-hmm.
talking about perfection, we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
the mindset of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still in
Mm-hmm.
step one? You don't get that perfection or you don't get that 100% knowledge before you start. Somebody say you don't drive an unpacked car. That car, you need to be inside and start driving to see
That's
where
right.
it's going, to
That's
see
right.
that this road is wrong. Let me take a detour to see that, oh, I have learned something again about myself. Even if
Correct.
no one trusted you, even if no one supports you, you can keep going because your conviction. I want to acknowledge, we have so many people watching online. I want to acknowledge them. So many
Awesome.
positive comments. I hope some people are writing certain things down or will revisit this message again. But what's our time? We are already out of our time. But Gustav, what is that one thing you wish more people understood about personal transformation?
I love the fact that personal transformation really has the word personal in bold.
Mm-hmm.
It's your responsibility. You know, in life, once you grow up into adulthood, you have to be honest and face it. It could be other people's fault, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. I always tell my children at home, each time we have challenges, I try to go against them for something they did wrong. We have differences in opinion. We are having, a conversation with different opinions. I always remind them that tears will bring you sympathy, but only sweat will bring you results. At the end of the day, your life and transformation is your personal responsibility. And I always wish more people would understand that one of the key ingredients that can help you transform your life is consistent enthusiasm.
Ooh. Which sometimes is
Consistent.
difficult,
It
especially when
is.
you're not seeing the results. It's
It is.
difficult to stay enthusiastic, to keep it going. When
And you know, and mercy. And the reason why is because most people mistake. I used to be in that field of thought.
Mhm.
Let me tell you what changed it for me. You see, I don't focus on results, I focus on activities. I
I
have
call it the
identified
process. I
that
call it the process. Don't
the
just stand
process.
and look at the result. You can
You know
visualize it, yes, but
exactly
remember that you have to go through the process.
the
And what
process.
has also worked for me, Gustav, is also the knowledge that what I see as failures or what I want to perceive them as feedbacks.
Mhm.
And okay, this is what I'm learning from this journey. How do I use these feedbacks
Back to improve.
to improve? Not how do I use this failure to decrease or to stop where
Absolutely.
I'm going.
Absolutely. Because it's very important, right, to really focus on the process. The reason why is because results in anything in life is a culmination of small shots.
Mm-hmm.
It's never a result of one big shot.
Mm-hmm.
And where I
Oh,
learned this,
yes. Yes.
you
I'm
need
glad
to
you said so.
remember, because especially even in what you do, right? There are people you counsel, right, in your
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
It takes sometimes a year and then 2 years, and then they will be like, "Oh, I no longer get as angry as I used to get angry.
Yeah.
I no longer get depressed as I used to get depressed. I no longer get frustrated." But it didn't happen in the first week. It
No.
didn't happen in the second week. It didn't
No.
happen in the third month. So if they were waiting to only see those results in the third month, they would have abandoned the process.
Absolutely.
It's like physical
Absolutely.
therapy. I got injured on my knee and I got a knee surgery, and I had to do physical therapy for 2 months. I go in the first day, they punish me, pain, nothing happens. Second session, nothing. Third session, right about the second month, I just get up and I realize I'm able to walk, I'm able to turn my knees, I don't feel as much pain. But it didn't happen that night.
No, it did
It's a
not.
culmination of the process.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're trying to transform your life, you must understand it's in small increments. It's
Yes.
what we call compound growth. It's the small stacking. It's
Yes.
a small improvement. That's why in
You,
feedback, like you say, in the process is important. You
it's
take feedback
important.
to improve, not to stop.
Yeah. And you said something in the beginning that some people that we think will show up for us will not be there. And
and,
sometimes that will make
and by the
you,
way, don't hate them for that. It's out of love for you. Oh, I can explain that. Yes.
please do, please do.
Let
How
me
is that
do.
out of love?
It's out of love for you. And I'll tell you something, Mercy.
Yes.
Understand this, right? Most people cannot give what they don't have. Number one,
If this bottle is empty, I cannot give you water. It's
you cannot.
empty.
Number two, you must understand that the people who are around you, who love you, they're always concerned that you don't get hurt. And so when you are trying something new, something different, that the spirit, that the inspiration hasn't been given to them, the first natural instinct is Mercy might get hurt. The
Yeah.
business will not work. We're going to lose money. This will happen. That
Yeah.
will happen. And
Uh-huh.
the third thing, most importantly, you must understand when you are asking the temperature from a tortoise, the tortoise will give you the temperature from low down close to the grass.
Yeah.
You ask that same minute, you ask it from the giraffe. The giraffe will give you the temperature from up there. Both of them are right. They are just at different altitudes. I don't know if I make sense.
You make a lot of sense.
Good. So a lot of times we expect people who are closest to us to support us, but we don't realize they don't even know what we are doing and where we are going.
Mhm.
So it is unfair to expect them to say, "Oh, we love you." No, they love you. Nothing changes from that. There
Yep.
is a small percentage that might be out of envy, out of jealousy, out of not wanting to see you succeed. But I really think that's a minority.
You're
Most of the
right.
times it's just out of a goodwill to make sure Mercy doesn't get hurt, Gustav doesn't feel
Absolutely.
depressed that the business didn't work. Because for
Because
anybody
if
who has
you get
started,
hurt, they feel your pain. They
correct,
hurt with you.
and the
So
consequences are real.
yeah, the consequences
Especially
are real and
if you
it
have
may
a
impact
family, the
them too.
consequences are real,
It may
right?
impact them too.
But
Yes.
at the end of the day, there is a certain, I tell people, especially those in my coaching programs, I have a flagship program called Guarantee Your Legacy. And it's an 8-week program where I teach people how to uncover their purpose. We go into details for them to identify all the things that are very important to them and work on it through their lives. And one of the things I talk about a lot in that program to people is at the end of the day, a lot of things might motivate us to pursue our purpose and our l- trying to build a legacy, right? There
Mm-hmm.
can be short-term things. Maybe you want to change your economic situation. Maybe you want to
Right.
live in a big house, or all that small stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
the truth of the matter is, the real thing that motivates most human beings to want to become what they believe is they want to prove to themselves that they are who they thought they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because there is a small
Absolutely.
child in you with those dreams from birth that is never dying. But
Yes.
this big, mature, logical thinking adult who has faced some challenges is trying to shut that little child down.
Mm-hmm.
But every time you go to sleep, that little child is reminding you, Mercy, when you were small, you used to have all these
You
big dreams. When you came to America, you had all these ambitions. Are you just going to let it die
what
like that?
happened? Yes.
What happened? Are you just going to just abandon it like that? So the real driver is the fact that you're trying to prove to yourself that you are who you really think.
You are who you really think. Gustav, are you talking to me?
I'm just saying, I hope it connects with somebody because I've been through those journeys. I'm just saying, I hope it connects with somebody.
And I know that it's connecting. I'm seeing the many comments online.
I'm
I know
glad.
that it's connecting with many people. For those of you who are just joining us, we are here about you are enough. And again, I have a powerhouse. You have been watching. I see your comments. We'll not be able to go through them today, but we can keep answering the questions later. Gustav is here. He recently wrote a book, The Seeker, and I'm not done reading the book yet, but I love it. Reflections on becoming the best you. Sometimes we struggle a lot on how we can become our best selves. We try different things, but we are not able to really align our passion with what we really want to be or what we are really capable of being, because sometimes what we want to be, we don't have the capability to be that thing. So you can we'll be able to drop a link here so that you can be able to purchase this book, The Seeker: Reflections of Becoming the Best You. I am
Mhm.
on page
The link I shared with
74.
you, Mercy, if you remember,
Sorry.
the link I shared with you, they can use that same link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember,
Wonderful.
yes.
Yes, wonderful. We'll put that online as well. On page 74, Gustav, you said you will not in uppercase letters please everyone. In whatever you're doing, you will not please everyone. You could lie down flat for people to walk over you, and some will still complain you are not flat enough. This was a tough reality for me to accept. By nature, I was naive enough to believe that I had to get along with everyone and that being liked was somehow critical to my success. Over time, I realized just how impossible that is. And I want to stop there because sometimes we get stuck because we feel like we are validating ourselves by what others are saying. Gustav
Hmm.
said it earlier, it is not what people call you, it is what you answer to that means
Absolutely.
that makes you. So you will not please everyone. I want you to talk a little bit about that before we go, Gustav. You sometimes we fail not because we were not able to build that dream, but because we felt like, oh, people don't like it. And we are looking at people, just those around us, where we have not even exposed the dream to see who is going to like it, to see who is going to be on our side. So if you can expand a little bit on that, that would please me.
Mercy, that's a very powerful one you brought up there. That's a very, very powerful one. And the reason why is very simple. An average human being in their lifetime will make contact with about 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay? Think about it this way: the world has 8 billion people, number one. And you're going to make contact with only 10,000 people physically, like you meet in airports, human
Mm-hmm.
beings meet in malls, you amount to only about 10,000, right? But here is the deal, Mercy. A lot of times, and this takes a little bit of practice to get out of that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we are worried about the 0.000000000% of people that we know personally and who are truly inconsequential to our destiny and our dreams and our ambitions and our.
Inconsequential.
I'm not saying that with any disrespect, but
No,
I'm just saying that they
you're
really
just
don't.
being honest. That is the truth.
They don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the
Hmm.
numbers. They don't have the volume to drive us. Think about it this way, Messi. Let's take a simple example. You are streaming today on YouTube. YouTube has 3 billion active users.
Yes.
And of these 3 billion active users, once YouTube identifies the people your message always talks to, it will start sharing your video to those kind of people who are interested in messages like your message.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, therefore, that your channel between now and the next 10 years could easily have 3 million people subscribe to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, why are you worried about 200 people you know? Or 1,000 people you know, whether they think you are doing good, whether they think Mercy is this, Mercy is that, or she thinks she's all that. Why do you really care? Once I understood that, it changed everything for me. That is when I came off and I wrote, when I was writing this book, I realized that you don't need to be liked.
Oh no.
You don't need to please everybody around you.
Mm-mm.
The only person who is important is the you and the destiny and the purpose that has been given to you by God to deliver on.
Yes.
Everybody will align. Most people don't respect you because they know you, but when they see other people respecting you, then they start respecting you. That is how human beings operate. So the way I put it to everybody, if you've been arrested by that purpose, you've been arrested by that dream or that legacy that you want to build, start
Mm-hmm.
working on it. Because when you start working on it, people that you didn't even know who are aligned to things like that will start coming. Nobody would believe that I didn't know Mercy 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Absolutely.
You see us talk today
Absolutely.
on your platform and it's like we've been friends since kids. No, but
Absolutely.
we are going in the same direction and it's easy for
Mm-hmm.
us to connect. I don't know
Absolutely.
if it makes sense. So it
A
is
lot of
important
sense.
for people to understand that number one, your dream is valid.
Yeah.
That, that purpose of yours is valid. And purpose has no use unless it has impact on other people. Your message is valid. Start putting it out there. The world is in a place today where it's never been. The world is a beautiful place. Somebody is sitting in Dallas today. I'm sitting in Austin, Texas, and we have people talking to us from all over the world, being broadcasted on Facebook, on YouTube. You are using StreamYard. StreamYard can broadcast to 8 different platforms at once. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me, whatever time in the history of humanity can you have your personal CNN called Mercy Psychiatry Channel? What other time? I mean, what are we talking here, Mercy? And we are worried about a few people who think you are this or that. But I know it is difficult because we come from a great community background. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying this to encourage somebody to understand that those same people who are your greatest critics today, those same people are going to benefit from your purpose.
You are truly a legacy coach. You
Those
are
people are
living
going
the
to
legacy.
reap and enjoy from the fruit of the legacy you are building. They
Yes.
will tap into it. They might not come to you someday to say, hey, you helped me in this way, but let your relevance not be based on appreciation. Forget about appreciation. Follow the music that is in your heart. What is the music telling you? What is that music asking you to do? I learned very early, Mercy, in my life. When I get a thank you, oh, I go to events. Gustav, you did great. You did. I say thank you. And it doesn't matter to me. If nobody even told me thank you, it doesn't matter. I know what I've done. And I'm not doing it for thank you. I'm doing it to make sure that the day I'm no longer on this side of eternity,
Can I
the
say
same
thank
way
you?
many years ago when I came back from Africa, Mercy, I was bankrupt, I was broken, I was beaten. I started having these negative conversations, counting myself out. People like Jim Rohn's video spoke to me. I used to watch videos that Jim Rohn recorded in 1984 in Sacramento. And
Yeah.
I'm watching it 40 years later and it's
Mm-hmm.
speaking to me. And I told
Mm-hmm.
myself, Gustav, if you die and leave this world and your voice is not speaking to somebody when you are no longer physically present, you have failed. That is my own
You have
legacy.
not made your
Find
legacy.
your own legacy.
Find your
That
own
is my own.
legacy.
So what that
Gustav,
means to me is
thank
that
you. Oh,
absolutely,
thank you.
absolutely,
This is not, I am sure, Gustav, we are going to talk. I am sure you're going to come back. Could you share with our viewers? They really want to know more about what you do, how they can find you, and how they can support your initiatives and services as well.
absolutely. The way, and I usually, and you have to forgive me on this one. I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything. I
Oh, no,
hate,
remember, we talked about knowing who
I
you
hate,
are.
I hate the word support. Okay, don't support me. Invest in me as I invest in you.
Amen.
If you find
Yes,
value in what I do,
yes,
look for me up on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel. If you
yes.
think it's valuable, share it with other people to give them
Mm-hmm.
information to help their lives.
Yes.
I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, and I am on LinkedIn. Gustav Biachu is my name. I also have private newsletter groups where I share specific information to people who are subscribed to my newsletter group. If you go to my YouTube channel, you see all the information you need. If you're not on YouTube, if you're on, just create an account, join YouTube. If you're on
Mm-hmm.
link, if you're on Facebook, just look up my account,
Let me
Gustav B.
make
Achu,
sure, mine.
and let's work. Let's invest in each other. Life is about value. As immigrants, as Africans, we will never change our stories
Mm-hmm.
until we are able to start uncovering our purpose and doing the things that we are ordained by God to do with our lives. You see, the people who created the airplane, the twin brothers, the Wright brothers, when they started, when they created the first airplane, their motivation wasn't to make money. I don't think so. Their motivation was to solve a problem that will have an impact on humanity. Start from that first. My motivation is to solve a problem of
I
helping
just
people
subscribe on
early.
your YouTube.
Oh, you just did awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Right? Solve a problem that helps somebody
Gustav
to become
B.
better.
Achu, you are enough
Absolutely.
TV. That is his YouTube. Gustav B. Achu,
You
you
are
are
enough
enough
TV.
TV.
That's correct.
Guys, I already see wealth of information there.
Check me out on I post stuff every day on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. Check me out. Let's connect. Let me know you're coming from this program. And if you order a book, exceptionally, I no longer do signed autographs unless at events. But if you order a book from this program, I will know that and I will sign your autograph copy.
Isn't that
Send it to you. That's
wonderful?
just the privilege I'm giving to Mercy and our community.
Oh, thank you. And many will. Isn't that wonderful? Guys, what
Absolutely.
I have taken today, I hope you have taken some notes as well. I'm going to share a few notes that I took from this powerhouse today. One, a big part of confidence comes from competence. Invest in yourself so that you can build that knowledge. You can build that thing that will make you be confident. You cannot just be confident when you don't know what you're doing. It comes from competence. Another thing, Gustav says, guarantee your legacy. Stop hearing the outside voices and stop hearing the inner critics too. Tell them to stop. Guarantee your legacy. Another thing, purpose has no need if it doesn't have an impact. Oh my, oh my.
Yeah.
Purpose has no need if it doesn't have an impact. Thank you for sharing those germs. The last one I got, and it's more and more that he says, I'm just sharing mine. Let your relevance not be based on appreciation.
Yes.
Those are
Yes.
words from Gustav. And any final words for before we leave?
I think certainly it was just a great pleasure to be on the platform today. I think we'll have a chance again for me to come back and
Mhm.
certainly to host you two on my platform. But one of the things you talked about is acquiring knowledge. And I just want to leave this with everybody, right? If you read a book a week, you would have read 500 books by the end of the year. Sorry, you would have read 52 books by the end of the year, and you would
Mhm.
have read 500 in 10 years.
Mhm.
If you read 2 books a week, you would have read 1,000 in 10 years. 1,000 books in 10 years is more material than a PhD program. But
That's
here's the
right.
deal. Let me tell you something. The beautiful thing about the time we live is you don't have to read the book physically if you don't want to, right? There are audio books and different ways by which you can do that. An average US worker spends 500 hours every year in their car driving to and back from work.
Look at
In
that.
those 500 hours, instead of listening only to Kofi Olomide and Petit Pays, you could be listening to something that elevates your mind. I love them. I listen to them too. I do. There's nobody, I'm not some guy here who is some, no, but I also give some time to bring my mind up so that
Mhm.
when I come on platforms like this, you can find value in what I do, what I say, and you go back home and become better. So that 10, 15 years from today, I will hear somebody doing some great stuff somewhere in the world, and by any chance, I will know that some way, somehow, we have expanded that tentacle. The joy and honor is mine. This was my story today. And you know what? I'm sticking to my story.
We are sticking to our legacy.
That's
We
how
are
it goes.
sticking to our legacy.
That's
Thank you
how it
all for
goes.
spending time with us on All Mercy and
Absolutely.
Integrative Care today. If today's conversation stirred something in you, if it means something in you, pause, honor it, share so that others can also find meaning and joy into it. You're not alone in the journey of becoming your own champion. That is what we are saying today. You're not alone in that journey of becoming your own transport. You can enroll in Mr. Gustav's class. He will teach you how to do that. Healing takes honesty, it takes transformation, and it begins when you start believing that you are worthy of who you want to be. Until next time, be kind to yourself, protect your peace. Remember, your legacy, like he said, is being written every single day. Let it be written, rooted in self belief. And at All Mercy, we always say, let us all take the wheel. Your mental health is a journey. Our mental health is a journey. Let us all take the wheels and ride well together. Together. Bye bye for now.